Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. I'm SocietySucks and today I'm checking out Pregnancy is Insane by Kurzgesagt. Obviously, pregnancy is insane. The female human body can literally produce another human within 9 months' time. Of course it's insane. But let's see exactly what parts of pregnancy they're going to talk about here.
Pregnancy is a hardcore sci-fi epic of war, peace, and compromise. Babies are basically very cute tumors that grow a completely new organ inside
Tumors,
a different human.
okay.
Their mum's body graciously allows this, while the new life saps her resources and challenges her immune system to its limits for months. Biology is brutal and beautiful and metal. Let's zoom in and observe this brutal struggle for survival that in the best case ends in one of the most magical things, a new life. Our story begins with an army of tens of millions of sperm cells that immediately
We're actually
face
going
death.
back to
They're
this
on a tight
point?
timer before they run out of
Insemination?
energy and die. But this is the least of them.
What?
They're on a tight timer before they run out of energy
Oh,
and die.
yeah, of course.
But this is the least of their problems right now. Like all bodily openings, the female reproductive tract is a fortress defending against invaders. The future mum's body has set up deadly barriers and puts the sperm through a brutal process that kills almost all of them. And
Yeah, always remember, people, inside of a woman's vagina, there's a giant press with spikes on it that kills the sperm. That's how it works.
ideally selects the strongest and fittest one. The first deadly obstacle is a highly acidic environment guarded by hundreds of thousands of guard cells. The acidity kills millions, especially of the weaker sperm within the first half hour, although they have a bit of protection. Seminal fluid is alkaline, so it makes this first obstacle a little less deadly. The survivors reach the next obstacle, a treacherous maze full
Which
of
is more
protein nets,
difficult.
where millions more find a brutal end.
I mean, this
getting
all makes
stuck
sense.
and
The
lost.
strongest one should get
Now,
to
if
be
a
the
woman is
one
in the
to
part of her
survive.
menstrual cycle where she's ovulating, her body helps the sperm out a bit by releasing chemicals that guide the way and by being a bit less hostile. Luckily for our brave sperm, this is the case today. Only a couple of hundred, less
How
than
convenient.
0.0001% of the original sperm pass through into the uterine cavity where two tunnels branch out. Here, mucus helps transport the stronger sperm to move on while weeding out the weaker ones. The mum's immune cells pick off and devour every cell that trails behind or takes the wrong turn. And then, finally, maybe just a few dozen sperm reach their goal, the mighty giant egg. 10,000 times bigger than them, it's an industrial-scale monster loaded with nutrients and nearly 100,000 mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell, 50 times more than an average cell. But
Oh.
the egg is not easily conquered. The survivors get closer and try to get in until the egg decides to accept a single one of them. The genes of two individuals merge. The egg stops being part of its mother. It's something else now. A new being with its own agenda. Not a human yet, but the potential to
So
become
already
one,
at this
like
point,
a thought that's not
it
yet a
changes.
word. But its mum's body hasn't decided yet if she wants to say it out loud. It will have to fight for that. For a few days, it rapidly divides and grows to a couple of hundred cells while traveling down to the uterus, the part of the female reproductive system where it will try to make its new home.
And then it
Here,
sticks.
it begins to divide into
It
two
stays there.
specialized teams of cells. One will eventually become the baby. The other cells are trophoblasts, and their job is to turn into a temporary organ inside the mother, the placenta, that will make pregnancy
Oh,
possible
so that's how that
and
forms.
eventually die. This means that when you were an embryo, there was this whole other part of you, not like a twin, even closer, maybe like a guardian angel clone. These cells never had the chance to become a human. Their only purpose in life was to make you exist. In any case, the following days are the most dangerous for the potential new life. Like a tennis ball rolling through syrup, the young embryo moves along the uterus and tries to take a hold. An intense chemical dialogue between two living things begins. The embryo releases dozens of chemicals that announce its presence and asks the guard cells of the uterine wall to allow it to please attach itself so it can survive. The uterus responds with dozens of hormones and immune signals itself. If it's satisfied with the quality of the chemical conversation, its cells allow it. If it doesn't, the embryo will be lost and die.
Oh,
This is where we begin to see the interest.
honestly, I didn't even know that. I thought that once the sperm actually reaches the egg, that's it. I mean, obviously miscarriage is a thing, but I didn't realize that it could die and fail at this stage of its life, at just trying to cling somewhere in the uterus.
Of both living beings no longer completely align anymore. Pregnancy is a huge energy investment, so the mother's body will eject the embryo if it doesn't see it as viable. The embryo, on the other hand, faces a life and death situation and tries to stay alive at any price. So it's not asking politely, but deploying thousands of infiltration units, bubbles filled with genetic material, kind of like a human virus. They sort of invade the uterine cells and try to brainwash them, so they help it attach itself rather than rejecting it. During this time, one of the weirdest features of pregnancy occurs. The uterus provides uterine milk, not real milk, but a clear fluid filled with nutrients and hormones that the young embryo sucks up hungrily to gain additional energy until it gets inside. If the embryo is allowed in, the implantation was successful, the first critical hurdle. The next step is to reach the blood vessels of its mother, the only way to survive if it doesn't want to starve. The trophoblasts begin to clone themselves on a massive scale and turn into different specialists. One of them turns into a violent invader that starts drilling into the uterine tissue like a tiny parasitic octopus with many arms, spreading and growing.
This sounds horrible, but this is how
of its mum's uterus cells
humanity has continued for millions of years.
Directly, or even devouring some cells whole. While this sounds brutal, and it is, this process is highly regulated and doesn't hurt the mum. It's another test. The mum's body monitors carefully how the embryo is doing. Is it growing quickly, or is it more chill? If an embryo has genetic damage or chromosomal abnormalities, it will spend way more energy on repairing itself and maybe grow more erratically. This makes it metabolically noisy, releasing loads of chemicals the mum's immune cells pick up, which provokes them and makes it more likely that they'll destroy it. On the other hand, if the embryo is weak, it's metabolically too quiet and the mum will stop talking to it, which also ends the pregnancy. This embryo is just right, so the mum's cells...
6 weeks, is this the point? At what point does morning sickness show up? Okay, according to Google, they usually show up between weeks 4 to 6, which is pretty much the stage we're currently at, although it can start as early as 2 weeks or as late as 9 weeks.
Release a flood of different chemicals to help it out, support it growing, and most importantly, activate her immune system. Usually this would be very bad. The immune system kills everything that's not part of the mum's body, and this embryo is clearly not part of her. But the immune cells of the uterus surround the embryo and start helping it, guiding the trophoblast to grow further. They create a physical and chemical safe zone that tells dangerous immune cells like T cells to stay away. The embryo has its own motives and doesn't want to rely on its mother's goodwill alone, so defensive trophoblasts send out signals that kill her immune cells if they get too close and could start attacking it. Hundreds of cells go even further and leave the embryo behind. They spread all across the mum's body, entering organs, even the brain.
Why
we
that
don't know
far?
what all of these cells are doing, but we think
we don't
they're
know.
probably telling her immune system that the embryo is not to be attacked, that it should be left alone or even protected. These cells may stay inside the mother for years or even decades. It's likely that parts of you are still in your mother. Around 8 weeks after the egg was fertilized, the transition from the embryo
and
to
weird
fetus
to think
begins.
about.
The size of an olive, its organs begin to form, and it turns from a blob into something vaguely human-like. Is there a clear point where a clump of cells becomes a human? Not really. It's a fluid transition, and every society and person, be it morally or legally, marks this moment differently. Meanwhile, construction trophoblasts are busy building a spongy finger-like structure that expands further into the uterus, a completely new organ. The placenta, an organ that you once grew inside your mother, that was ejected after your birth and died a silent death while everybody was busy welcoming you into the world.
No one cares about the placenta.
is now the new home of the fetus, an enormous fortress protecting it from microbes that could infect and kill it in its still pretty fragile state. It even has its own mini immune system, placental immune cells that gobble up anything that poses a threat. Other placental cells
obviously
creep
there would
along
have
the
to be
inside of
something.
the mum's blood vessels, stretching them and connecting the fetus through the umbilical cord on the other side. With the blood flow secured, it's time to load it with as much food as possible. The placenta releases hormones that funnel glucose directly to the fetus, stealing energy from its mum. If the fetus goes too far and asks too much, This can sometimes lead to gestational diabetes for the mum during the pregnancy, starving her body of energy. The mother's body is trying to support the new life, but not at the cost of her own survival.
Yeah.
In a sense, the mother's genes inside the fetus still have a stronger allegiance.
Now, I don't know too much about pregnancy. I don't know the details and everything, but if this was the case, wouldn't you just have to simply eat more food? Obviously, it's definitely not that simple, but you'd probably just have to get more nutrients in you, more food, to help sustain yourself while also sustaining the child. But I don't know, maybe that's not the case.
To her than to the new being. But its father's genes don't. They want the fetus to survive at all costs. So while there's a sort of fragile peace between both parties, it is just that. Their interests are not perfectly aligned, and both sides have to deal with that.
I mean, that makes perfect sense. The father's genes would obviously only care about the survival of the baby because it's the father's genes. But the mother's genes, it cares about both the survival of the baby and the survival of the host of the baby, which is the mother. Because if the host dies, so does the baby. If the mother dies, there is no baby, so both of them need to survive and live.
In the next few months, the fetus will increase its weight over 1 billion times, which demands a staggering amount of energy and cooperation. They still need to work together to get out of this alive. But if the fetus gets to this point in the pregnancy, chances are pretty high that it will become a baby like you once were, a proper human, like you are today, a being with immense potential. If you're alive today, then you went through an amazingly brutal selection process. From a little pack of genes,
yeah, remember that, people. We're all winners.
Fighting for your survival with desperate words spoken through chemicals and sneaky actions, trying to outsmart the system, fighting to be alive in this world. But this is only one side of the story. You were also chosen by hormones that led you to the right place, by the egg allowing you to merge into one, by your mum's body that liked how you spoke to her, by her cells that protected and cared for you, nourished by an incredible amount of energy that your mother gifted you. Our biology is a brutal, unforgiving, but necessary part of the greatest wonder there is, the creation of new life, of you, of all of us.
Yeah, pregnancy is indeed insane. It's also insane how the human body can actually handle this. Well, not just the human body, any mammal, any animal that gives live births. Because obviously some animals lay eggs, so that's a whole nother thing. Honestly, this video makes pregnancy sound kind of scary, and I assume that, I mean, obviously for anyone who's been pregnant or is planning to get pregnant, so for any women out there, it's definitely terrifying because after all, you're gonna carry a kid. That's gotta be terrifying. But when you look at it from the outside, this is just normal. This has been happening for however long humans have been around. It's just a part of life. A scary, nerve-wracking, but also a beautiful part of life. Anyway, that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, please consider subscribing and leaving a like. If you want to see more reactions, check out this video right here. And with that, I hope I'll see you in the next video.